Welcome back to our live coverage of the Mackinac Policy Conference from right here in the parlor of the Grand Hotel. I'm Christy McDonald, and this is the fourth year that Detroit Public Television has carried this conference live, so we welcome if you are joining us at myvote.org or any of the other media websites that are carrying our coverage. As we continue here, this is just day one of this three-day conference where business leaders, politicians, educators all get together and talk about some of the major issues that are affecting our state and where Michigan is going to go from here. One of those things that people have been talking about today are veterans issues. When our men and women come back from serving overseas and they go back into the private sector, what are the next steps for them and what can companies do to incorporate them and to hire into their workforce? And joining me right now is Jeff Barnes. He's the director of Michigan's Veterans Affairs Agency, which is a new agency providing access and services to veterans across the state. Jeff, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Christy.
What is it about making veterans issues a pillar of this conference that is so important for Michigan?
Well, we think it's extremely important to talk about veterans issues. We have approximately 30 to 50,000 veterans that we expect to transition back to Michigan over the next 5 years. Incredibly talented with a very wide, diverse range of skills and experiences. And I always like to tell people that it's a range of experiences that are in the high career, high growth industries in the state of Michigan, like IT, cybersecurity, healthcare, mechanical and electrical engineering, and the skilled trades.
But there is just a report out saying, though, that Michigan, we have the second largest unemployed pool of veterans in the country. How does this agency that you're the head of start to work on that number?
Well, conferences like this are extremely important because it's kind of a two-pronged approach. First, you want to raise awareness that you have this broad skill set that's available, and then you want to work on skills translation so that the human resources departments of these companies will be able to connect with veterans. We can help identify good fits for the organization, because what we see is when veterans transition into an employee setting that is favorable to them, they have higher attrition rates than, or higher retention rates rather, than their civilian counterparts, some above 90%. Where when you look at the state average, it's a little closer to 80%. So it's a good fit. If you get a good match, you get veterans that are going to be mission focused, they're going to be process oriented, and you're not going to have to worry about whether or not they show up on time and whether or not they'll take a leadership or ownership role in your company's mission.
All right, so you're working with companies and working specifically with HR so they can understand some of the skill sets that these men and women have. What are some of the programs that you can actually help the veterans to get them to know that there are openings here, job openings here? What are some of the programs you're working on?
So what we've done is we've partnered with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We're one of 3 states nationally to do this, and the goal with it as All-Star Vet State is to be able to connect with veterans while they're in the transition process. So we're going to try to engage the talent further upstream while they're still on active duty post, making that decision of where do they want to go after they separate from the services. And with that, we can work with them through their job fairs, we can work with them on their resumes, and connect them with employers that are growing their operations here in the state.
Do you find that you are getting a lot of welcoming response from employers in doing this job just in the last year or so?
We've had a tremendous response. You know, the governor held a Veteran Talent Summit in Taylor at the Masco headquarters in November, and we had over 200 employers that came and learned more about connecting with veterans. We've seen the move that we've been able to hire several of the veterans that we've showcased and several others that we've been working with over the past year. But we expect a huge influx. And so really what we've done is try to set the conditions by raising awareness. And then we're going to introduce some tool sets later this year that we think will be very important. It'll make the process of connecting to veterans a little more streamlined, and it'll really break down the skills translation issue that both the veteran has in articulating what they do and the employer does in recognizing where that talent may fit into their organization.
You know, I have to talk about over the last couple of weeks, the national consciousness has really been raised about what's been happening at our VA hospitals, the times that have been for our men and women who have served overseas. They come home and they're waiting now. A report came out today, even the Phoenix Hospital, 115 days before they're seen by a doctor. When you see those reports, what does that mean for our VA hospitals in Michigan? And how can you, I guess, comment on what's happening on the whole there?
Well, you know, it's very discouraging to see the kind of complaints that have been raised in that, but it's very good that the VA has gone through and done the investigation at the Phoenix Hospital. I think there are 5 recommendations that the Secretary is moving forward with today, which began immediately with putting the administrators on administrative leave until they can get some of the changes implemented and further investigated. In terms of the state, The investigations are still going forward, so we anticipate a report in August that will cover all of the VA centers across the state, or across the country, which includes the 5 VA health centers in the state of Michigan and 17 community-based outpatient clinics. But what we do is at the state level is really encourage veterans to still sign up for your benefits. You know, it's extremely important that we connect you with the benefits that you've earned. There is health care. There's also compensation, disability, and several other benefits, and those are the kinds of things that change the quality of life of a veteran. And as we work through this as partners with the VA, we're going to make sure that we stay to the right standard, that we get veterans in and processed on time, and that we're able to enter them into the system efficiently. And over the past year as a state, we've seen the wait time for veterans that are enlisting for their benefits go from approximately 2 years down to about 120 days. So where we've been able to put some focus, we've made great progress, and certainly there's a lot of work left to do.
All right, Jeff Barnes, Director of Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency. And Jeff, thank you for your service to our country. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Adventure requires a trusted guide. Find yours at PBS.